Hello, beautiful people. So today is the 4th of September and it is the first day of our new wave spell. So the wave spell that we're going into today is the Red Moon wave spell. And the Red Moon wave spell, if you've seen my previous report, we're in a Red Moon year as a planet, and that's the final year of a 13-year process in Red Moon. So the next 13 days are incredibly key for us. They are going to really reveal what this year structure, and when I say year, I mean the 364 5-day cycle that corresponds to, our movements as a planet. So yeah, big key wave spell. So the energy of Red Moon is very much about the feminine. It's about receptivity and it's about flowing. And, there's this real tendency to override. And, the Red Moon energy is the energy of the great purification. So this year particularly is the completion year of this emotional transformation process, the ability to feel. That's really what this is about, and this 13-day process in particular, like I say, is like a microcosm of our year. So you'll notice that your stuff's probably going to come up and your emotions are going to be triggered. And this tendency to hold on and to control and to try and take the reins is really going to come to the forefront. And, this energy of Red Moon is really about letting go and flowing. And, the reactivity, the fire, the push, the boom, it's like, okay, how can we dissolve that? How can we drop deeper and deeper and deeper into acceptance and really come into that place of just observing, letting go and observing and allowing ourselves to feel whatever it is that we're feeling, allowing our emotions to come up as opposed to putting them down or holding them in or whatever it is that we do to try and keep ourselves together. So this Red Moon, energy as well is really this feminine energy, like I say. So this is a great process for creativity and for playfulness and for expression and for sensuality. And, if you've got things going on, experiment with creativity. Sometimes we can get so fixed in okay, when things like this happen, I react like this, and that's the right way to react. It's a real opportunity to kind of, okay, I'm going to experiment with, I've got all of these emotions going on and I want to do this, that and the other, and I want to say this, that and the other. How can you take that into a creative process? How can you express that on a page? How can you express that with movement? How can you express, because it's not about not expressing how we feel. It's not about not expressing, but how can we transform the way that we express so that it becomes a creative outlet, so that it becomes medicine as opposed to poison. And, there's this real opportunity to, like I say, to flow. So anything that we think that we're doing this week might get rescheduled. Anything that we think is in place might change. Any way that we feel that another person should be might disappoint us, and all of these different things are really showing us our control issues. It's like there's a greater plan, there's a greater picture, there's a bigger picture that we can't see, but it's always for emotional evolution. So if something changes or if there's something that you don't like, then you look at how it makes you feel. Okay, so there's disappointment there. Oh, there's anger there. Oh, and as opposed to being, I am angry, or I am feeling really disappointed, it's, oh, that's a really interesting emotion to be experiencing. How can I love and hold space for that emotion, without becoming it? And what do we need to do in order to drop into that space? So yeah, creativity is a really potent medicine for this year and this wave spell, because it's the feminine, it's that feminine energy That as opposed to, you know, this masculine, and you know, it's a funny one speaking of energy in terms of gender, because everything's gendered, you know, and then really working through that whole bullshit basically. But you know, when I talk about masculine and feminine energy, it's two forms of energy, and maybe it's better to use different words for it. So masculine being like a binary energy, like being a black and a white and a straight line, and feminine energy being more of a holistic, inclusive energy that's very much a wavy line. You know, it's like a straight line and a wavy line. And you know, this energy of red moon is really this wavy line energy. It's a real water energy. And you know, like if you were to, how can I explain that one? Okay, so imagine you've got a river and you've got loads of blocks of ice trying to fill the river, or you've got the water filling the river. Every single crack within the river is going to be covered by the flowing water. So it's like with our emotional selves, and with our, you know, with everything that we are, how can we move away from being this rigid being into allowing the energy to move through us, into allowing the energy to fill us, into allowing ourselves to look into every single crevice of our being, as opposed to just the linear, normal ways that we perceive ourselves and perceive our reality. So there's this real opportunity, you know, to just have that time in the womb, you know, spend that time alone, have an evening of when you're in your room and it's dark and you just light some candles and you listen to some music and you just allow yourself to be in that space without needing to do anything. You know, this is a real gift and a medicine of red moon. It's like this doing, really, you know, the great mother is going to come in and take away these things that we feel like we need to do. Be like, okay, so you're not going to do it now, what are you going to do? You know, like, how does that make you feel? Like, always with all this stuff, it's how does that then make you feel? Wicked, I'm at a doorway to my personal emotional evolution. It's not about anyone out there. It's, oh my God, there's a door. Wicked. I'm going to drop into that. And oh my God, I'm crying again. Oh, oh, amazing. Oh, there's a little bit of me that's integrated there. I feel a little bit wholer. I feel able to be in my heart with people. Beautiful. So again, as you know, with our last cycle that we went through, tears are such a medicine. And this year, you know, this red moon year is really, like I say, it's a purification year. So it's really, you know, it's the final aspect of this 13-year purification process that we've been through. And you know, the best way to purify is to cry, you know, and not need to go into this like psychological processing or figuring shit out. Or, you know, I think sometimes we can use that, myself, speaking of myself here, to bypass the emotion. It's like, okay, well, if I know what it's about, then I don't cry the tears. But it's about finding that balance between the two of, okay, I feel sad, so I'm going to cry the tears, you know. And yeah, I can kind of look at, okay, so it's hooking into that for me. But as opposed to using that process as the, okay, I don't need to feel, you're allowing yourself to feel, you know. And I think, especially, you know, with this patriarchal world that we've been born into and that we live within, the feelings are just not okay. And I know that things are changing and shifting, and it's interesting, you know, within this 13-year process of red moon, the way that this emotional revolution has kind of stepped forward silently. It's phenomenal and very much in alignment with the astrology. And you know, it's like, okay, how can we prioritize feeling our emotions as opposed to just being this thing that's really annoying, or this thing that we don't want to experience, or this thing that puts a dampener on our day, or whatever. It's like, okay, how can I embrace this amazing thing? And like I say, you know, how can I create from that place? Some of the most incredible music is created when somebody's in the depths of despair. You know, this real pain that we experience on this human reality, in this human sphere that we're in. You know, the depth of emotion and this emotional like scale that we have is phenomenal. And to be able to experience that, you know, I think this is one of the reasons why, you know, especially with younger generations in the West, the drug culture is so prevalent because it allows us to feel. It gives us the opportunity to step out of like this mind and really move into our emotions. But the trick is, how can we move into our emotions without having to put something in? How can we put something out creatively in order to drop into our emotions? How can we, throughout this 13-day process, give ourselves the space and the opportunity to do things for the sake of doing them, not to do things for the sake of getting something back? So creating for the sake of creating, as opposed to creating for the sake of financial gain, creating for the sake of creating, as opposed to creating for the sake of whatever. You know, it's like, how can we make the space to really just let ourselves play and express, you know, because self-expression is such an incredibly important thing, and it doesn't have to be expressed to human beings. It can just be a birthing. And that's another thing of this energy of red moon. There's a real rebirth opportunity. And with all of this energy, you know, things are going to go down regardless of what we do, but there are opportunities on how we ride that wave. It's like, okay, I can see the weather forecast and I know that there's going to be a storm today, so it's not going to completely ruin everything, but I'm going to make sure that I take my umbrella or my raincoat. You know, it's like, we can, by seeing what's coming, we can then take the opportunity to do something amazing. It's going to be beautifully sunny, let's organize a barbecue, you know, that kind of thing. So within this 13-day process, like, how can we really give ourselves the opportunity to go through the rebirth cycle that's there, you know? And every time we feel an edge, it's our edge. Our edge, it's our emotion, and the more that we can be with it and get inside it and really just feel it without needing anything from another human being, or needing anything to change on the outside, or needing anything out here to do anything, the more that we can drop into that space within us and find that temple inside us. This is another element of red moon, you know, it's the divine feminine temple that's within the body. And that goes for, you know, whether you're in a female body or a male body, within us, we have an internal temple that we can go to, we can unload, we can pray, we can feel, we can be held. It's all within us. All of it is within us. Everything that we've ever wanted and needed is in here. But all the time we're trying to get it from out here, and it's taking us further and further away of where we need to be, and dropping into that space, feeling that pain. Just feeling that pain is dissolving some of the barriers that we've got to that internal temple, and we so deserve to be there. We are so inherently worthy of love, but it has to start with us. You know, it's all well and good saying that people need to love me and I need to, you know, all this, again, this need thing. It's really, really paramount that we can be with ourselves. So, for instance, I had an experience yesterday where I got trolled, and I've never experienced that before. And there's a lot of different elements that I've been working through with it, but really just allowing myself to feel that. You know, feeling the pain of this person that was really abusive to me that I've never met and how it made me feel, and just allowing myself to feel that. And it knocked me, you know, it knocked me for the day, but that's okay. You know, I've woken up today feeling in a different space. And, you know, that whole thing of just allowing ourselves to feel and to be. Now, also within this wave spell, like I say, you know, there's this energy of like being receptive. So how can we make ourselves available to the flow? How can we create space, which means that, oh, spontaneously in half an hour I want to go and do that thing. You know, how can we set ourselves up so that we've got the opportunity to follow the flow that we can't see until it's here, you know? And, you know, how receptive can we be to what we hear and what we experience and what we see? How much can we listen? There's a real energy of listening, you know, listening to our reality, listening to what's going on, you know, within our reality, and listening to that deepest part of ourselves. And how can we listen? Do we listen? Are we able to listen? And if not, why can't we listen? What's in the way of that? Is it fear? Is it pain? Is it, what? Most things boil down to fear, a fear of blah, blah, blah. And, okay, wicked. So I know what belief, because that's all it is. It's a fearful belief that I've got. And, this thing as well that happened with me yesterday really brought to the forefront, something that one of my amazing teachers really drilled home to me when, learning EFT. The purpose is that we are able to go anywhere and the bullets pass through us. It's not that the bullets stop. It's not that, and I don't mean that we're always going to get shot at. I don't mean it literally. And that's another thing to another day go into. But how can we clear enough so that no longer it's a trigger for us? So if we undo all of our triggers, we don't need anything on the outside to change, because it doesn't matter, because it doesn't affect our well-being. And again, this is the energy of red moon. It's like clear, 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 all that shit. This year is an incredible opportunity to clear. So therefore, this 13-day process is a microcosm of that. So notice what goes on for you over this next 13 days. Notice what kind of wants to come out and play. Notice what really is like, oh, that feels horrible. And really see the holistic picture, because this is going to be a real, there's a real opportunity to kind of start working on the stuff that you're working with for this year process. And, the themes of the next 13 days. So as opposed to it being like the story and the individual person, what is the theme of how does that make me feel? What is that rubbing up against for me? Because that is going to be what you're working with for this year's cycle. So if we can start to work with it and transform it now, then we're getting into this deeper space where we can then really experience the light of this 13-year process, this 13th year of the process. The light of red moon, this receptive, juicy, feminine, flowing, in alignment with spirit, in alignment with what's coming in, that energy, is beautiful, so that we can dance through life, we can dance with one another, and nothing is coming into this like, how can we really drop into that dance? Because it feels so good to dance and to move like that. Doing the robot is a little bit different. So really, within this process, we get to really see what's in the way of us dropping into our femininity, our emotion, the inner feminine within any gender, the ability to be in our hearts as opposed to our heads, the ability to be in the open, vulnerable, sad, crying as opposed to the angry, pushing, raw. What is it going to take for us? So I hope that this wave spell is full of incredible medicine for you. I know that it will be. Make sure that you've got your community around you, because it's going to be shaky, I think. There is a potential for it to be hardcore, because, we've been taught through our wounding and our conditioning and our schooling to not be receptive at all. We've been taught to be very linear. So this whole thing of control, when it starts to be shaken up with spirit, we can be like, our ego's like, oh my God, I hate this, it's so. So if we've got people around us, that we can lean on within that, it's a really, really amazing opportunity. But the key with it all, as opposed to anybody else, it's about finding that best friend within, and finding that mother or father or whatever within, and really dropping into that temple space inside, so that no matter what is going on the outside, no matter how rattled you feel, you don't abandon yourself. So I'm sending you loads of love. I hope you have a wonderful wave spell, and I'll speak to you soon. Mwah.